conflict in Iran. And although President Trump has said there are no reports of mines being placed in the Strait of Hormuz,
Well, the U.S. has been taking heavy losses in the war in West Asia. It has lost 13 soldiers and 140 of them are injured.
New images near the Strait of Hormuz off Iran, where new attacks are now sending oil prices on another wild ride today.
At 4:13 in the morning on March 16, 2026, Iran's most advanced Al-Qadr missile was secretly launched at a U.S. carrier in the Strait of Hormuz. A signal lasting less than half a second reaches a location that appears on 0 official maps inside Iran. One word embedded in that signal changes everything that follows. That word is launch. And what follows is 11 minutes the United States Navy will never officially confirm, and Iran will never officially admit. Beneath a fake government farm compound 11 miles northeast of Bandar, Abbas, hydraulic arms lift a weapon into firing position. This missile is 10.5 meters long, weighs 1,750 kilograms fully fueled, and carries a maneuvering re-entry vehicle that Iranian engineers spent 22 months secretly upgrading. The West calls it the Al-Qadr. For the next 11 minutes, it will be the single most threatening object anywhere. In the Persian Gulf, 60 miles to the southwest, the USS Abraham Lincoln leads Carrier Strike Group 3 westbound through the Strait of Hormuz approach. She displaces 104,000 tons fully loaded, carries 5,000 sailors, and her complete air wing represents roughly $13.4 billion in aircraft alone. She is the most valuable warship ever deployed by any nation in recorded history, and right now, she is the specific aim point of an Iranian strike operation. 14 months in the making. But here is what the Lincoln's crew does not yet know. The missile they are about to track was never meant to arrive alone. And in 60 seconds, you are going to understand why the U.S. almost lost a carrier, and why. Nobody in mainstream media will tell you exactly how close it came. If you want the complete account of how this engagement unfolded second by second, hit the like button right now so this video reaches those who deserve to hear the truth. At 4:13 and 22 seconds, the Al-Qadra's first stage burns through the ventilation shaft of the underground launch bay. A reinforced steel blast cover is thrown 40 meters across a flooded irrigation field. Every infrared-capable surveillance satellite above the eastern Persian Gulf registers the heat signature instantly. Iran is not hiding this launch. Iran needs it moving before the Americans can think, let alone respond. What the Lincoln's defensive network has not yet realized is that 4 minutes earlier, at 4:09 a.m., a converted civilian fishing boat anchored 55 miles north-northwest, near the port city of Keshem, put a missile in the air. That missile is a Fateh 110 short-range ballistic weapon, costing approximately $1.1 million. And it is not aimed at the carrier. The Fateh curves toward the USS Mobile Bay, a Ticonderoga-class guided missile cruiser holding screening station 7 nautical miles northeast of the Lincoln. Iran's planners designed this precisely. A real threat aimed at a real warship to pull American fire. Control attention in exactly the wrong direction at exactly the right moment. The Mobile Bay's SPY-1B radar acquires the Fateh 9 seconds after ignition. Combat Information Center labels it medium threat, genuine but manageable. At 4:10 and 3 seconds, the Mobile Bay fires a single SM-3 Block 1B interceptor costing $10.2 million. It climbs on a steep vertical arc and destroys the Fateh 34 miles above open Gulf water. At 4:12 and 47 seconds, debris rains harmlessly into the sea. Threat neutralized. The combat team reloads its firing queue and scans immediately for follow-on contacts. They find one. The Al-Qadr is already through its boost phase, climbing through 60,000 feet, and the fire control computers are resolving its trajectory into a threat corridor centered directly on the Abraham Lincoln comment. Intercept below, if you believe American, missile defense is the most sophisticated system ever, fielded by any military power on Earth. The Mobile Bay runs the engagement solution in under 6 seconds. The result carries a serious problem. The Al-Qadr is not following a standard ballistic arc. After its boost phase, it executed a secondary propulsion event, a brief burn from a concealed maneuvering thruster package built into its upper stage that shifted the descent corridor 9 full degrees. That correction moved the projected impact zone 18 miles to the southwest. Directly onto the Lincoln's position, Iranian engineers installed that thruster package over 22 months, specifically to defeat a single-ship SM-3 intercept attempt. The mobile bay's firing geometry is now compromised. Getting an SM-3 onto the Al-Qadr from this angle requires the interceptor to chase the weapon from behind its lateral flight plane, pushing the kill vehicle toward the outer edge of its physical performance envelope. The weapons officer fires anyway. Two SM-3 Block II interceptors leave the mobile bay's forward vertical launch cells in a ripple salvo at 4, 13, and 58 seconds. Each missile cost $28 million. $56 million of American hardware clears the deck in under 4 seconds. The first SM-3 achieves intercept geometry 78 miles above the Gulf at 4:15 and 12 seconds. Its kinetic kill vehicle strikes the Al-Qadr's upper stage at a combined closing speed exceeding 14,400 miles per hour. The upper stage is destroyed. But the maneuvering re-entry vehicle riding inside separates cleanly, because the Iranians engineered this precise separation event into their design from the beginning. The Warhead is now free-falling. It is no longer connected to its original guidance package, but it is not tumbling. A compact laser gyroscope array built directly into the re-entry vehicle requires no radio contact with the launch. Crew N continues steering the Warhead on its preloaded terminal approach profile type. Yes, right now, if you want to watch every defensive layer on the Abraham Lincoln push to its absolute operational boundary. The second SM-3 was targeting the same upper stage. It hits debris from the first kill, detonates in proximity, and achieves a partial kill, stripping roughly 40% of the re-entry vehicle's thermal shielding. The Warhead is falling damaged. At Mach 7.3, the Lincoln has been tracking it continuously since 4:14. 6 minutes remain before potential impact. The Lincoln's air defense coordinator triggers ship defense. Condition 1. The flight deck empties in 94 seconds. 11 aircraft staged for a pre-dawn sortie are rolled back from the catapults. 2 ram launchers, 3 Phalanx CIW's mounts, and the ship's full electronic warfare suite all transition to automatic engagement authority. No sailor needs to authorize the next trigger pull. Every system fires on its own judgment. The problem is physics. At Mach 7.3, the Phalanx gets roughly 2.1 seconds of effective engagement window at maximum range. The ram launcher carries a better envelope. But the Warhead's descent angle is nearly 70 degrees from vertical, leaving the ram approximately 4 seconds of viable intercept. Window before the Warhead drops through its kill zone entirely, 34 miles southeast of the Lincoln USS. Gridley has been quietly tracking something the strike group's planners missed entirely. Since 4:01, that morning her SQ-89 sonar suite has been shadowing an Iranian Yugo-class miniature submarine. This vessel displaces approximately 90 tons submerged and cost around $8 million to build. It has been crawling toward the shipping lane at 3 knots on battery power for 6 consecutive hours in 80-degree Gulf water, waiting for a signal it was not certain would ever come. That specific patience is not an accident. The Iranian Navy spent a decade developing the training, the doctrine, and the human endurance required to hold a crew inside a steel tube for 6 hours, in that heat, with a single standing instruction. Wait, share this video right now so the people around you understand exactly how many layers of preparation Iran embedded into this operation before a single weapon ever left the ground. At 4:14 and 30 seconds, with the aerial engagement underway above her, the Gridley receives authorization to prosecute the contact. Her MH-60R Seahawk helicopter has been orbiting at 200 feet with its dipping sonar. Continuously deployed for 71 minutes, it drops to Mark 54 lightweight torpedoes in a spread pattern. Each costs $660,000. Together, they represent $1.32 million, spent to eliminate an 8 Submarine and remove whatever threat it was positioned to execute. Once the Al-Qadr completed its run, the submarine hears the first torpedo at 700 meters. The boat sprints toward shallower water along the northern bank. There is no shallow water close enough to matter. The Persian Gulf at that coordinate is 61 meters deep. The first torpedo acquires at 380 meters and detonates within lethal radius. The second torpedo confirms the kill. The Yugo breaks apart into 3 sections. Its crew of 7 men trained for 18 months to be at that precise location at that precise moment. They will not surface back above the Gulf at 4:16 and 8 seconds. The Al-Qadr's warhead has dropped through 55,000 feet. Its internal gyroscope continues making small corrections. The projected impact zone resolves to a 60-meter circle centered roughly 140 meters forward of the Lincoln's island superstructure. The flight deck, the single point on the ship where fuel lines, ordnance, elevators, and exposed aircraft concentrate in a configuration that makes a high-velocity penetrator maximally catastrophic. The mobile bay has been building one final firing solution since 414. The SM-6 is not a space interceptor, it is an atmospheric hunter. It carries a blast fragmentation warhead. Costs $4.3 million per round. And its nose holds an active radar seeker capable of locking a target at 10 miles and guiding itself to impact, without any further instruction from the launching vessel. The mobile bay fires 2 SM-6 missiles in a ripple salvo for 16 and 22 seconds with a 6-second separation between each launch. If the depth of Iran's coordination has genuinely surprised you, comment depth right now in the thread below. The first SM-6 climbs to intercept and reaches the Al-Qadr's warhead at 31,000 feet. Since dropping below 80,000 feet, the warhead has executed 3 lateral maneuvers, each shifting its projected impact point between 200 and 400 meters. But the partial loss of thermal shielding has created an asymmetric heating problem. One face of the warhead runs substantially hotter than the opposite face. The gyroscope compensates, but every correction burns maneuvering. The warhead is running dangerously low on lateral control capacity. The SM-6's active seeker goes fully autonomous at 8.4 miles, locking the radar return, bouncing off the warhead itself. The warhead pulls a 12G left turn. The SM-6 matches it. The warhead corrects 9G to the right. The SM-6 closes to 22 meters and detonates. Tungsten fragments expand outward at 5,200 meters per second through the re-entry vehicle. Navigation array, offline. Maneuvering thrusters, offline. The warhead is now a hypersonic rock with no guidance and no functioning detonator. The second SM-6 is 14 seconds behind and has the warhead's new purely ballistic trajectory fully computed. It scores a direct impact at 18,000 feet, 11 miles northeast of the Lincoln. The structurally compromised re-entry vehicle disintegrates on contact. Metal fragments scatter across a debris field 4 miles wide. The largest recovered piece measures 14 centimeters. None of it reaches the Abraham Lincoln dot at 4:17 and 41 seconds. The Lincoln's air defense coordinator logs splash on the inbound track. From the Al-Qadr's ignition beneath a fake Iranian farm to the final intercept above open water. 11 minutes and 19 seconds total. Now run the arithmetic. Iran spent $1.1 million on the Fateh decoy. America spent $10.2 million shooting it down. Iran spent approximately $3.8 million building the Al-Qadr and its maneuvering upgrade over 14 months. America spent $56 million on the 2 SM-3 South and $8.6 million on the 2 SM-6 South that finished the warhead. The submarine cost Iran $8 million. America spent $1.32 million in torpedoes, removing it from the board. Iran spent $12.9 million. America spent $76 million defending one ship for every dollar Iran committed to this attack. The United States spent nearly $6 in response. That exchange ratio is not a military failure. It is a deliberate financial strategy, and somewhere in Iran, it is already being called a victory. In Tehran, that figure is already on a whiteboard. Below it, someone has calculated how many Al-Qadr missiles Iran could manufacture for the combined cost of the interceptors that stopped this one. The answer written beneath that question is 20. But the Lincoln is still sailing. The mobile bay is reloading her vertical launch cells from a replenishment vessel 25 nautical miles southeast. The Gridley has resumed her patrol. The Seahawk helicopters are back at their holding positions. 22 minutes after the Al-Qadr's fragments finished sinking, the Abraham Lincoln's flight deck resumes full operations. A catapult fires the delayed patrol package. Aircraft that were rolled back from the deck during the engagement are airborne again. running their assigned tracks over the strait as though the past 11 minutes were a scheduled exercise, not a drill. A live test with live weapons. The network passed at 4:39 a.m. Two Fa-18F Super Hornets from the Lincoln's air wing arrive over the compound northeast of Bandar Abbas. The underground launch bay is beneath them. The ventilation shaft that blew open during ignition is still producing a smoke column visible from altitude. GPS coordinates sourced from launch detection satellite data were loaded before the jets left the catapult. Each aircraft carries 4 GBU-31 Joint Direct Attack munitions, 2,000-pound GPS-guided bombs costing roughly $25,000 each. 8 bombs total, $200,000 in precision-guided ordnance. They strike in a sequenced pattern. The underground bay collapses. The road access ramp is destroyed. To support vehicles in the adjacent irrigation field are eliminated. A crater visible on commercial satellite imagery appears within 3 hours. Iranian state media will describe it as an assault on civilian agricultural infrastructure. The thermal bloom from the Al-Qadra's own ignition, captured by multiple satellites at the moment of launch, tells a different and permanent story. Iran constructed this strike around 3 interlocking layers. The Fateh decoy forces an early SM-3 expenditure and diverts mobile Bay's fire control team during the Al-Qadr's critical ascent phase. The submarine threatens the strike group's southern perimeter and draws the Gridley into an active prosecution that pulls her focus from the aerial engagement overhead. The Al-Qadra's thruster modification and maneuvering re-entry vehicle combined to defeat any single-ship SM-3. Intercept every layer reflected real engineering. Every layer demonstrated genuine operational discipline, and every layer failed, because the Lincoln's strike group is not one warship. It is a network, a continuously updated, sensor-fused cooperative system of platforms and shooters that process the incoming threat geometry faster than Iranian planners calculated it ever could, engineered a weapon capable of cutting through any single defensive layer deployed by any navy on Earth. America was not positioned behind a single layer. America was standing behind 6 overlapping shields, all sharing the same targeting picture in real time. Iran brought a blade. America was wearing a web dot. If Winds of Thought gave you something here that mainstream coverage never will, smash the like button right now and subscribe to Winds of Thought, because next week we go inside the SM-6's active radar seeker technology and explain exactly how it tracked and killed a maneuvering hypersonic warhead at Mach 7. Drop the word web in the comments right now so we know you made it all the way to the end.